Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, they're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. exactly. Miller's still start chopper. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's gonna do it! Big Barry!
Good evening and welcome back to the Sunday evening. That can mean only one thing. The iGPFun F3 League Round 6 live from Brands Hatch. I am James Parfitt, going to be joined in the booth by Mr. Ewan O'Leary once more again as we tackle 47 cars around this incredible Brands Hatch circuit. And what we're going to do first off is bring you up our current championship standings that are currently on the website. Kenzie Newhoff is in first place on 195 with Will McIntyre on 192, Lee Aberdeen on 171, Antonia Jimenez in fourth, Evan Way in fifth, tied on 164, Luca Varani on 159, Kevin Zwemstra 148, Christian Glamseater on 133, Andy Flint on 128, tied with Jack Willems, Chuck Morrow 125, Adam Townswell 122, Pedro Suarez on 119 and Alex Lado on 105 in 14th. Marek Otlovs rounds out the top 15. Now beyond that in 16th, Victor Barris is on 98, Koji Ito 92, tied with Lucas Marek, Edward Amos on 90, Jakub Olezwinski on 89, tied with Zach Weir, Steve Ridders in 22nd on 88, Marcis Putnieks on 23 on 80, Vyacheslav Potapenko 71, Gianfranco Pagoda is on currently 69 points. And in the top 30 we will go. Steve Ridders behind that, Gianfranco Pagoda, Paolo Bremen 26th, Clark Williams 27th, tied with Leonard Cherry, Simon Fessy 29th, and Reno Scatini rounds out your top 30 drivers here this evening. But I think it's time to bring Mr. O'Leary into the booth. Good evening, Ewan. How are you, sir?
Good evening. Doing well once more and looking forward to another Sunday evening spent in front of this F3 action. It's been fantastic so far this season, and looking forward to seeing how it continues to unfold as we somewhat remarkably hit the halfway stage after this race.
Yeah, we do. We are literally nearly there. It was 6 down after this one, but we are coming just to the end of qualifying, guys, as well. Easy Ghost, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to you. Matthew Gracie, so bummed to not be racing today. 0 time to practice and set up this week. Oh, well, have fun, everyone. I'm sure everyone will there as well. Phil, as always, we're evening again. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, guys, you can hit us up here on Instagram and on Twitter at JPB Broadcasting for both. So that would be absolutely amazing. Okay, now, we were talking in the green room before, Ewan. We were talking about drop weeks and iRacing and the website and everything else. What's the situation? Where do you think we're at the moment? Because at the moment we've got Kenzie Newhoff leading by, he's on 195 points, leading by 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we just showed you in the point standings is the overall points, the total points that each of these drivers have accumulated so far this season. However, there are 2 drop rounds to account for in this season, and we're going to keep more of a closer eye on that as we go into next week. And I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about quite what's going on at that stage. However, it's worth noting that Lee Aberdeen scored no points at all at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park back the second round of this season. And so that is obviously going to be a drop score. He'd do very well to not have to drop that by the end of the season. So while he's dropping a 0 points, so he's not losing anything, Kenzie Newhoff's worst result so far is currently, 30 points back at Jerez, where he finished about, what would that be, about 13th, I think. Mm-hmm. So, you know, not a bad race at all, but it's certainly more than 0 points to drop. So we believe, anyway, that Lee Aberdeen, when the drop weeks are applied, would drop down a little bit, would jump up as a result of those drop rounds, and he may be leading the standings, but we'll be able to update you on more on that as we go into next week's race and have a bit more of a focus on it in the second half of the season where things start to get serious.
Yep, so that is the plan. We have been here as well before in multiple series where we've had maths to do in the final rounds, and Ewan has always been on point with his maths, so I'm relying on you to get it right.
He was here at Brands Hatch, if you remember, the last particular nightmare I had at maths on JPB, live on broadcast.
Yeah, it was. Easy Go said, no race for me tonight. Spent most of the weekend sick in bed. Hope it's a good one tonight. I'm sure it will be, but I hope you're feeling better there as well. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We are literally at the end of qualifying. as we finish off with Steve Ridders here at the full Grand Prix circuit. The grid is done and dusted. We will be able to bring you the grid very, very quickly. We got Lee Aberdeen in first, Max Bartolotta in second, Kevin Webstra third, Will McIntyre-Jones fourth, Pedro Suarez fifth, Andy Flint sixth, Kenzie Newhoff seventh, Luca Varani eighth, Lucas Marek ninth, Victor Barris 10th, Tony Jimenez 11th, and Ryan Berry currently down in 12th place. Then beyond that, we've got Adam Townsma 13th, Leonard Cherry 14th, Alex Lado 15th, Clark Williams 16th, Sebastian Graveland 17th, Stephen Ridders 18th, Christian Glamseater 19th, George Kelstrup 20th, Edward Amos 21st, Zoltan Samota 22nd, Mark Louvet 23rd, Jeffrey Decker down in 24th. Then beyond that, Jack Willems 25th, Chuck Morrow 26th, Irvin Sumakans 27th, Vyacheslav Potapenko 28th, Reed Dennis 29th, and Koji Ito is in 30th. Musis Putnieks in 31st, Marek Otlov 32, Q Knee in 33, Nick Cardy 34, Stuart Meal 35th, Dorian Oreo in 36. Keep it going. Patrick Rowlands in 37th, Indica Scarlett in 38th, Reno Scattini 39th, Alistair Hay 40th, Rudy Asfiland in 41st, David McCare in 42nd, Arturo Mayorga in 43rd, Matt Brewer 44th, Noisia Herrera in 45th, Jean Carlos Valerio in 46th, and Sergio Cacafero is down in 47th. As always, there a very, very strong grid. And we have 47 cars, so we're just waiting for them all to get on track, ready to go. We have got 38 laps here of epic racing, and anybody that loves Brands Hatch, like I'm sure we all do, will know it's going to be incredible. Aye, Mark, without practice, the whole week, not bad. All right, should be good. Should be good. We're just waiting for the last. Got Jeffrey Decker, believed to go on track, Indica Scarlett and Alistair Hay are the last ones to take to the track before we get underway. The lights are on. We're going to be green very soon. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. It's green and away we go. And Lee Aberdeen is taking the lead down into turn 1. Straight away through Paddock Hill we go. Dropping down through Pilgrim's Rise and up to Druids. And it's Lee Aberdeen out in front. Max Bartolotta second. Kevin Webster third. And then the rest of the field comes through. Behind that we got Adam Townsma as well. He's another one on the score sheet. They're sitting in 13th place currently at the moment. Don't forget as well with Ryan Berry behind him, Leonard Cherry and Alex Lado. Fairly ideal. Clean start there, Ewan. No real issues for anybody.
Yeah, nice and clean start, and very good from everybody. I think the turn 1 here particularly helped there, as they all got underway fairly evenly. They were all able to slot in for the very fast Paddock Hill bend, and then by the time they got up to Druids at the top of the hill there, it was actually a pretty single file, so everybody getting away relatively cleanly there. Actually can't see anybody who's had problems on this first lap other than Jeffrey Decker, who actually hasn't taken the start here, so 46 have taken the start, but either way really clean, but single file around the back of the circuit as you'd expect at Brands Hatch, and someone in the gravel on the outside line up there at Dingledale as well, where we're expecting to see that plenty of times today.
Yeah, Christian Glamseater there as well. Don't forget the purple zone was running through all the way through 1, 2, 3 and 4. So that was the purple zone, of course, where there was no overtaking, but Max Bartolotta just got past Lee Aberdeen and then runs wide with Kevin Wemstra now making a move inside. Can McIntyre-Jones as well get Bartolotta? He can. If Bartolotta's not careful here, he's going to lose a position to the flying Pedro Suarez. Kenzie Newhoff is up 1 into 6th place at the moment, battling side by side with Andy Flint. Luca Varani tucked up right behind him as well. It's all getting a bit tight now. We're through that purple zone. We're through to lap 1. And it's just kind of go, go, go here from lap 2 onwards.
Yeah, you can certainly tell as well that we're out of that and we're into the racing proper. Bartolotta there just with a silly mistake really to lose one position and then lose a load more by going wide at turn number 1. This can happen at Brands Hatch though. It's such a single line circuit where the overtakes are so hard to come by that when you are pushed offline once, it's quite common for quite a few cars to come through on you, and so that makes the battles even more important, and that maybe adds a little bit of caution into the way these guys approach this one, because you know that if you make an attack on the driver in front, if it goes wrong, there's a whole host of drivers behind you waiting to take your place.
Yeah, Will McIntyre-Jones, of course, sitting in second. what we've got off the website currently in the championship. Bertilla behind him, Pedro Suarez behind that as well. Arturo Mayaga looks like he's had an incident, unfortunately, as well. He's dropping down the order, sitting in 46th. That's coming round the same place that we expect, isn't it? Off Dingledale. And unfortunately for him, he's gone round there. George Kelstrup and Stephen Ridders. Oh, well, Ridders just lost a nose. I'm not going to tell you that much, but he definitely has on that one.
Well, he's judged it to perfection, or he's very lucky, one of the two, because that was exceptionally close there from that onboard camera. Let's not forget that because of those onboard cameras, and especially where Ridders will be sitting as well in that car, it's especially difficult to see where the front of your car is, so it probably would have appeared even closer to him, but clearly not quite close enough to make contact, and everybody's absolutely fine. Yeah, we want to avoid that, and from now on we'll just be trailing the cars in front as best as possible. There's someone else off at Dingledale now.
Sebastian Graveland. Graveland looks like he's just taken it as well, unfortunately. Graveland off at Dingledale. And is that going to be a recurring theme? Because that corner's very tricky on a blind hairpin. On a blind corner, sorry.
Yeah, blind, well, I don't know what you call
Apex,
it. Really.
Isn't it? A blind entry.
Apex fast corner. Yeah, it's a really, really difficult one. And there's no room for error on the outside line there as well. It's not like a proper F1 grade 1 kind of circuit. You know, it's, proper track limits enforcement here with just grass and gravel lining the outside of the circuit. To be honest, I'm surprised he didn't use the line at Graveland in the gravel there. But anyway, I'll take my disappointment somewhere else. But anyway, he'll be disappointed, of course. Although he has made up another place, he's back to 19th.
There we go. Graveland was in the gravel. There we go, okay? Is that okay for you? There we go, Will McIntyre Jones. Bertilla behind that, Suarez behind that as well. And then we got the Barris, Jimenez, Barris and Flint Bow, sorry. Flint in front, of course, in that BA, he's in that liveried car, isn't he, that we love so well, as he's coming down now through Sterling's, the left-hander, of course. Okay, so, from these guys' point of view, it looked like there's been another off as well. Tumakins looks like he may have been involved with Glamseater, and unfortunately them guys have come together to put Glamseater and Tumakins both in the pits now, as you can see on the bottom of your screen. But it is Barrows chasing down with Adam Townsman. He's defending hard here as well and trying to chase down Ryan Berry. He's got Leonard Cherry behind him. Cherry has got Lado right behind him as well. There is Alex Lado in a four-way battle. Clark Williams is coming, George Kelstrup and Stephen Ridders. That mid-pack's getting very spicy at the moment, Ewan, and we're only on lap 5 with 33 to go. There's somebody off up front as well. That's one of the Drive X Esports boys. I think that was Tony Jimenez taking a trip across the grass there. And unfortunately, it's now getting very, very close here, and these guys are going to be right near each other at this moment in time. There he is on the right-hand side, Ryan Berry. No space coming through this side, but unfortunately for Berry, he's putting him under attack from Townsend behind there, Ewan. It's always the problem when you're trying to go forward, you could end up coming backwards.
Exactly, it's always the problem as you try and make a move. There's somebody waiting behind you to take your position, and somebody very nearly on the grass there. Could have been Lado maybe in that group, but it's all very, very close. This really, though, the fact that everyone's so close always puts people off trying to make moves because of what we've explained. Once you're having a look, you can go backwards very quickly. Up here, you are more likely to see moves like Suarez there. He did have the chance because Neuhoff wasn't that close to him. He was able to have a look at Bertilla, but one move and the driver behind has caught you up as well. So now Suarez is going to have to look in two different directions. Yeah,
Alistair Hay and Tumakund is in there as well. Dorian Oreo has also been off track, and at the same time here, Max Bertilla with Suarez behind him and Kenzie Neuhoff behind that as well. It's all getting very tight from 4th, 5th and 6th. Further down, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th are all very close as well. And then you've got 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th and 18th all tucked up right behind each other all at the same time. So it's battles all the way through, as we come to expect on this Sunday evening with this amount of cars. George Kelstrup.
Oh no! Big contact, huge contact, and not sure. I think it was Kelstrup on the outside, wasn't it? And not sure quite gave enough space. Obviously, we joined that pretty late, so it's I might be unfairly judging them both there, but but that is such a difficult corner to go side by side through. You can do it, but you've got to leave each other the right amount of space, and they certainly didn't there.
Yeah, let's see if we can get that one really quickly.
Around the,
ouch.
Wall, by the way. Goodness me. That was a strong hit on the wall. Yeah, it's a toss-up really between Sherry giving enough room and Kelstrup, Sherry being pushing out wide from the apex and Kelstrup not giving enough room, and I'm not sure quite which one it is, to be honest. I'm going to have another look myself to see if, Sherry for me didn't quite deviate very much, but it's a really difficult one to call.
Zoltan Samata, Edward Amos and Mark Louvet. Another 3 with a 4 of there as well. Amos is trying to go around the outside. Williams is tucked up right behind him. Marcius Putnieks behind that as well. Another pocket here all at the same time. Then we've got Adam Talmser as well. He's also mixed up in a battle. And then, of course, you've got your front 5, which are all close back currently at the moment as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on here as well. You can see at the moment the front 4 are 2 seconds apart. And then we go all the way down to the front 8, and they're only 5 seconds apart, which is really, as we've seen, not a lot of gap to be playing with here. And let's see what Lee Aberdeen can do. Is this the week that Lee Aberdeen is going to take pole and go forward and win the race?
Well, let's wait and see. Of course, he's on 2 in a row now with Jerez and Magny-Cours just in behind, or just previous to that. So, he's certainly had a good time of things so far in this championship, with a podium every time he's been able to complete the race. He's been inside the top 2 every time he's completed the race as well. So he'll be very pleased with how his season's gone so far. But he might well be able to take 3 in a row here. And as we explained earlier on, he will be championship leader when the drop rounds are applied. And so that will be very good news for him indeed. But drivers like Will McIntyre-Jones here trying to put an end to that.
Will McIntyre-Jones is trying to chase down Kevin Swempster to get the out.
Oh!
That's Bartolotta.
Yeah. It is. Oh, and he's gone again. I think as he tried to get going there, he's gone again. He has. Oh, he was getting it. I was about to say what a nice 360 it was, and the fact he was on the straight and narrow again quickly, but I'm afraid he's gone around again at Dingo Dell, and we've claimed another victim, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Dingle is the corner that people are not getting correct, but McIntyre-Jones has now got Pedro Suarez tucked up right behind him, of course.
Sorry, I thought he was going for an outrageous dive there.
Pedro Suarez going for one, got Ewan all excited in the background there. Or jumped up, and unfortunately, what didn't quite happen, but Pedro Suarez with Kenzie Neuhoff and Will McIntyre-Jones, of course, the 4-time consecutive iGPFun Team Championship winner is Will McIntyre with Team Digital Apex, and his teammate was Lucas Marex. So there we go, 4-time consecutive IGP team winner, of course, Will McIntyre-Jones. So let's see how they get on this season. Kenzie Neuhoff tucked up right behind him, and Pedro Suarez, who's just going to be sitting back. Okay. What have we got to do there? That corner seems to be the one that's claiming the most amount of people. Is there a trick? Is there a knack? Is there just pointing, hoping in, and definitely not closing your eyes and hopefully it stays on track? Because it doesn't look easy in this car.
No, it's certainly not easy in this car. It's not easy in any car. We've right on board so far with multiple drivers through there, and you can just see we've got a better view of the apex than they have, and it's still difficult for us to see quite where we're going at that stage. It's just the case that you can't actually see where the apex is until you're right there, and so there's not really any reference points that you can really use. Not that you ever use a designated turn-in point like you do for braking zones, and there isn't a braking zone there, so you can't use that really to go off either. So it's just a kind of turn in and hope kind of thing at the end of the day, and it's something that you've got to sort of get with the feel of this circuit. It's such a flowy kind of circuit that you're in a rhythm really, and you've just got to keep that going really. This is the shot that they have, and to be honest, this is probably higher than what a driver might get in real life, if we're honest. This is a pretty tall driver, but it's what we have in Harrison. This is the view you get. You just don't know where you're going until you need to be right on that apex, and even when you're on top of it, you can't really see where that curve is.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit higher on the field of view there as well. I think if it was lower down, you can see there's not a lot of vision there at all, and it seems to be just a corner that people are not going to be able to get right. Lucas Marek and Andy Flint here. Let's see how Lucas gets on. Of course, if it's Sport Time Digital Apex Team Champion, it's the same for Lucas Marek, because they are teammates there as well. So well done to them too. And of course, we've got Andy Flint in front of him there from the Scuderia Racing Forces team, battling away for 7th and 8th place. You know. Oh!
Wow! What a save!
Marek saved it.
Wow. I thought for sure that car was going around down there at turn 3, but somehow managed to save it. It's quite confusing the outside of that corner, really, because you've got this sort of astroturfy sort of thing on the outside line, but it immediately turns into grass, and it's the same colour, really. So you're in safety, and all of a sudden then you're not, and that's a bit of a problem, as you've just seen.
Yeah, Zoltan Tomato further down the order with Edward Amos and Jack Willems. There's Jack behind him, but there is Edward Amos in front of us. Currently, at this moment in time, chasing us down. We are going through this treacherous drop.
Ridders at Dingledale. Ridders has gone off at Dingledale, and you can see he's dropped straight into this group as a result.
Yeah, Steve Ridders is off as well. And once again, I just have to write Dingledale down on my little note sheet, because it is causing a big old drama, but this is all going to be running down into turn 1 now. Jacques Willems has gone past, chasing down Edward Amos with Steve Ridders in front of us, Mark Louvet in front of that as well. And then we've got Marcius Putnieks and Vyacheslav Podopenko behind us, a little bit further back, mind you. So not bad in the mid-pack. So far, so good up front. Aberdeen leading. Kevin Swemstra behind him, Will McIntyre Jones 2 seconds behind that, with Suarez nearly a second, and Newhoff about half a second back currently at the moment. Then we go to Marek and Barros. Barris, they're battling away. Jimenez is driving around on his own, bless him. Talmsma has got Lado for company with Jack Williams, Grabland's got Berry, Louvet and Ridders. It's all going up all the way through, all the way down to Chuck Morrow, mind you, who's having a nice little tidy battle down here in 34th place. And that was Arturo Mayorga that we've just got past. Oh, okay. Nearly wasn't going past completely cleanly, but there we go. So these guys having a nice little battle all the way down the field as well. There's just battles all the way through. And now we go into Andy Flint and Luca Verani. This is going to be an interesting one.
There are plenty of good fights going on up and down the order right now. Luca Verani is another one of those who will really benefit when the drop weeks are applied to our standings, because he wasn't there for one of them, unfortunately. I think it was last week, wasn't it?
Last week, yeah.
Yeah, also. So he will benefit greatly once those are applied, because he was right up there in the standings previously. His worst result before that was only down in 7th place, I think. He's been inside the top 5 on every other occasion, so he'll be right up there in the standings as well. But it's just difficult to look past Lee Aberdeen right now. Something is just clicking with him in this car right now, and he's driving absolutely wonderfully, still with the lead here at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, but that's good to see, isn't it? Really, for Aberdeen. Do you know what I mean? It's been pole, dropping down the order. It's just, you know, it's good to see him out in front, I think, and I don't think many people would be disappointed if Aberdeen went on and took the victory. So from that point of view, I think everybody would be happy about that, you know, given that he's had a bit of a rough season when he's been on pole.
Well, the other drivers won't be particularly pleased, I've got to say. But yeah.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be fair, last week he was on pole as well, as far as I can. Or was it Jerez? I think it was 2 weeks ago.
He won in Jerez, actually, isn't it?
Yeah,
yes,
he did win. He won from pole in Jerez. He won last week as well, but not from pole.
No, I got Pagota last week.
On pole, yeah.
No, I got Pagota took the win.
Oh right. Oh wait. Well, possibly, but I'm just going off the website, and says he won. So there we are.
Well, according to Ice Racing, Pagota won with Aberdeen second and Newhoff third.
Okay. Okay.
There's a miscommunication somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere along the line. One of us is wrong, but not sure.
If anybody can let us know in chat, any of the drivers tell us who is wrong. I've got Pagota, Aberdeen, Neuhoff. That was the top 3 from last week.
Okay, I'm going to. I'll investigate and see if we, because likely we've missed a penalty somewhere. If I'm correct, we've missed a penalty somewhere. And if you're correct, then I'm just reading the wrong thing, probably. So I'll investigate that.
Well, there you go. While you're investigating last week's results, according to iRacing, we've got one thing. According to the website, we've got something completely different. None of us are right currently at the moment until we get final confirmation and whether or not we may have missed a penalty as well. But we'll have to look on that one.
I found it. Pagotto, 60 seconds time penalty for blatantly disregarding track limits in qualifying and the race. So that's why.
Oh, okay. All right, well, you're right then.
I was only. I can't really proclaim to be right because that suggests I did something. I just read. That was all.
Yeah, he
so
did. Yeah, unfortunately for him, but he's not the only one, is he, for penalties? It was a good few after last week, so there we go.
Plenty of penalties. Yeah, we should keep an eye on these penalties a little bit more closely, actually. So we'll. I'll try and keep on top of that a little bit more as the weeks go on. But no track limits worries around here today.
Yeah, I think that the problem is with that as well is when they post them. Obviously, we don't get tagged in where they post them, so I forget to go in there, actually, to be fair. So that's not just on you. I think that's both of us need to be a little bit more, shall we say, current with the penalties. But Suarez and Neuhoff, 4th and 5th in lap 16. So let's see how these guys get on as well. It's going to be a nice, tidy little battle from Pedro Suarez, of course. There is Kenzie Neuhoff behind us, the man that currently is leading the championship, but we think that's all going to change with drop weeks anyway. Oh, see how tricky that is. Even from the back, it looks scary, doesn't it? You just got to... Neuhoff's close. Oh, blimey. Neuhoff was close there, and the grass weren't too far away there, Ewan.
Absolutely. It's one of those circuits. There's just no room for error. Even with that little bit of tarmac on the outside line of Westfield Bend, there you do find yourself wincing a little bit almost at quite what's coming up here. But Neuhoff very much stuck at the moment. Suarez, as I mentioned earlier on, really had freedom to attack McIntyre Jones earlier on in the race. But now that Neuhoff has caught up, all of a sudden everyone's a bit more nervous about making moves because you're likely going to lose positions if it goes wrong.
Yeah, but from Neuhoff's point of view, he's got to try and attack, hasn't he? You know, Andy Flint's 1.9. He's a little bit far back where he doesn't have to worry too much. You know, but then from his point of view, does he? It's a tough one, isn't it, really, for Kenzie Neuhoff? Because at the end of the day, you know, he's not won a race all season, but yet, by the website, he sat on the top of the standings. So, is it consistency is better than trying to not finish the race at all? Is that what we're looking at?
I suppose so. That's got to be in his mind here. But then again, he's going to be losing another 4 points to Lee Aberdeen here. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but these points are accumulating over the course of 5 weeks, where I think Aberdeen has finished ahead of Neuhoff, and it will be for 5 weeks if it continues on in this race. So he's got to put an end to that at some point. And as I mentioned about the drop weeks earlier on, Aberdeen's having such a good season that his remaining drop round is actually a really good score. I think he's still dropping a 42-point score, which means Neuhoff would have to be really close to him going into the final round as he now goes to the inside. They look like teammates to me, but maybe they're not.
No.
They're just in similar liveries. But that was confusing. It looked very cordial between the two of them. That's why I mentioned the teammates thing. But
well, we've got Kenzie Neuhoff in racing forces and Pedro Suarez in hydro racing forces. And then we have Andy Flint in Scudiera racing forces.
Okay, well, yeah, it looked very, it just looked very nice between the two of them. I'm a bit surprised.
Very gentlemanly.
Yeah.
Well, Let's see how it looks being very gentlemanly through Dingledale. Nice, just managed it again. Alex Lado with Tony Jimenez in front of us this time. This is the battle down in 10th and 11th currently. Both men make it through the treacherous Dingledale corner there, and no such dramas for either of them at this moment in time either. So nice little battles materialising. Amos and Zamora are together further down the order and here, and Cuny and Marek Otlovs and Stuart Milne are getting rather interesting as well. So it's going to be a nice tidy ending, as it always is, to the end of the F3s here, Ewan. You know, we're used to seeing this lull period, and then all of a sudden people start coming together the later on it gets in the race.
Well, there's pretty much constant battles in these races, to be honest. It never really seems to die down too much, even in the midpoint of this one, which we are very much at right now. There's still something going on somewhere. We just saw that pass for 4th place. Now we've got the 2 Spaniards here fighting for the last space inside the top 10. And as I said earlier on, the fact that things are a bit more spread out is going to encourage a little bit more battling, I hope. It's, you know, one thing having that freedom, but it's another thing trying to actually make a move around here, and it does get tricky on occasion at this circuit because of how difficult it is, as we've said many times.
Yeah, it's tough because you don't want to say it's a one-line track, because obviously we see overtakes, we see the cars go through. You know, they can go down into Paddock Hill and they can make that move down there as well and get a good run out of Paddock Hill and possibly get him into Druids. You know, so there is a lot that can be done, as we can see McIntyre, Jones and Newhoff. Oh, Newhoff
Nice.
does go through and in the back the 3rd place, but did he use the back marker? That's the question, because that back marker was sat there as well.
I'm not entirely sure whether that helped or made no difference really, but it was certainly in the minds of the two of them, I would imagine, as they were going side by side there. Newhoff through, and he won't care whether there was back marker there or whether he needed that or not, because he's up to 3rd place and he is showing strong pace now, but maybe we'll be regretting his qualifying pace in this one, because he just seemed quick, but he's given himself nearly 4 seconds of a disadvantage to Lee Aberdeen, who's effectively had a head start on him here. So not only has Newhoff got to catch up, but then try and action an overtake as well on 2 drivers up in front.
Oh, Suarez and McIntyre Jones. Oh,
Wow.
yes.
Would have been brave.
Yeah, Suarez was not hanging around there. I know they say if gap car, but call blimey, that would have been a dangerous one there as well. But definitely tough on that one. Adam Townsman and Alex Lado were side by side at one point, as these guys are going round Clark, of course, across the line. But it is back up. This McIntyre-Jones-Suarez battle's not rescinding here, Ewan. It looks like this could be backwards and forwards for the next 17 laps.
Possibly. It looks like McIntyre-Jones is just struggling at this stage, really. Suarez is, he's looking very threatening now. And you can see the way Newhoff has gotten away, although that's partly down to Newhoff himself, actually, who's it's very, very quick. But McIntyre-Jones seems to be struggling here. 1:17.7 on the last lap from him. And you have to go outside the top 12 to find a lap time similar to that. So he's in a very lofty position compared to that lap time. And I know there was an overtake within that. But even so, he's dropping off dramatically. And I saw somebody, by the way, in the YouTube chat earlier on mentioning about tyre wear and how that's going to feel at the end of this race. Maybe that's already becoming a factor.
Yeah, just looking at the track temps there as well. Oh, Suarez taking a trip across the grass. It's 22 degrees. You know, not desperate, but
Nope.
seems to be causing a problem, should we say?
It's ambitious for England at this time of year, I've got to say. But there we are, especially a racetrack. But yeah, it's you know, it's not tyre destroying, you wouldn't say, but clearly the amount of high load corners there are around this circuit are taking their toll, and you can see why. We've been riding on board with these guys for a long time now, and you can see they barely go below third gear in these cars, and that means you're putting a lot of wear and load through these tyres through the corners.
Yeah, Alex Lado just near. Oh, mate, no. I thought it was going to get Adam Tower. I wasn't sure which way that was going to go there, Ewan, because at the moment there was one place ahead. The door's wide open there, mind you, Alex. If you wanted to go and take it, you've got to put your nose up, but not quite this time around. They were battling forward and backwards and forwards. They had swapped positions and then swapped back again. So Lado and Talmsma there as well. But here we go, coming into this tricky area. Around Hawthorne we go, coming into Westfield. And then we're going to drop down into Dingledale here. And then we point, aim, and hope for the best. There we go.
Actively.
Well, that is what we do, don't we?
Well, pretty much. You can't do a lot else up there. And by the way, it was at Dingledale where Lado had his issue that dropped him down here. You remember he was battling with Jimenez earlier on. Now he's battling with Talsma, and he is through back into 12th place. But that's a couple of places down from where he was earlier on. Talsma's going to come back at him in towards turn 1.
Well, Talsma's not given up. He has not given up. I don't think this fight is effectively done. Yeah, I think Talmsma's still going to have a go up round Druids and then drop into that possible area down in Graham Hill. But it looks like now Lado might just be opening it up bit by bit. Suarez is closing bit by bit. Further up, of course, with McIntyre Jones in front of us. And Suarez was edging that gap. He just got it below 2 tenths. And now it's back out, unfortunately, for him. So McIntyre Jones there shooting it around Dingledale. And this is the onboard from Suarez in front of us, of course. Here's McIntyre Jones again. Still going here. What are they going to have to do? From Suarez's point of view, obviously, you know, he's got to catch McIntyre Jones. But getting past is a different story, isn't it? Is there really going to be the big old send from Suarez that he may not do, or he may do as the race goes on?
Well, he needs to get closer than this if he wants to make any kind of move, in my opinion. He's far too far away at this stage. And he will still be using Newhoff here to try and catch up a little bit and use him as a bit of a marker to move forward. But his lap times are back now into the 1:15s, and that is a good place to be in terms of lap time. He'll get a bit of slipstream from a lap car there. That will ward off Suarez just for one more lap, but that's going to start to become a problem around here. This circuit is not very long at all, and 46 cars started this race, which means that those who had issues earlier on will be being lapped at this stage now, and we can see that happening now.
Yeah, Suarez up through Dingledale. McIntyre Jones there, sitting right in front of us. Still trying to get through. Andy Flint is still trying to close the gap. There's a back marker we've just gone past there on the roll bar of Suarez now. What you were in for?
Sorry. Just had a bit of understeer there to Suarez through the final corner. Thought he was even going to end up in the grass at one point, but really had to over-rotate the front two the front two wheels, unfortunately, and really scrub them off because well, that will give you a lot of tyre wear as well, by the way. This is another problem for those drivers, not just Suarez, but anyone who's been stuck behind someone for quite some time. You do have to put a little bit more lock in through the corners because of the dirty air, and your front tyres are going to be feeling that by this stage.
Yeah, they definitely are. But it is Flint at the back of Suarez. McIntyre Jones in front of us. How is this going to work out? Can Luca Varani close up that 1.2 second gap? Can Clark Williams get past Tony Jimenez? This has been now a battle that's come together on track. Williams is in the green and white on the right hand side. Not your normal overtaking position through there.
Oh no!
Oh! Go on, sir.
Wow.
Go on, save it. Oh, good job. What a save by Williams.
He's kept it, but I'm not sure how. And it was very nearly similar to what we saw with Kaustrup earlier on, if you remember, back down there at Hawthorne's. It was really, or Hawthorne Bend, I should say. It was a very close moment again. The two of them giving each other ever so slightly more space on that occasion. But even so, they still came into contact, and maybe they might decide that moves around there are just a bad idea overall after those two incidents now, because it's a very scary corner to battle through.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? That turn is somewhat, you know, you've got to be on the money. And I think that's the thing. When you slightly drift, the gap is so fine that that happens, you've got to be on that money. You've got to rely on that guy running up that inside, round that curb and keeping that curb hugged, because if he doesn't, you're going to end up off. And, you know, when you saw it, Suarez and McIntyre Jones side by side. Oh, they're not. Oh, they're not. Oh, no, they're not. Whew. Side by side.
They're not.
Yeah, side by side into Dingle-Dell. How would that have worked out?
Well, it wouldn't, I think. So I'm glad they didn't try it. Suarez now getting more. Well, I don't say more desperate, because he's not. He doesn't look like a desperate driver right now, but he's certainly trying harder as this race goes on. We're approaching the final 10 laps, not far away from that, and so the intensity just getting ramped up in this race. Suarez to the outside, he's pushing it. Oh my word! McIntyre Jones pushes him as well. The two of them did not want to yield, and Suarez in the end wins that game of chicken, but McIntyre Jones pushed him absolutely all the way. That was fantastic.
I'm wondering if towards the end of that move, though, McIntyre Jones pulled in to try and leave Suarez room. It looked like he'd come round turn one and then kind of diagonally headed to two, as if trying to give it, but of course scrubbing off speed in the process. You know, I'm wondering if he sort of, well, I'm not going to say he wanted to let it drift out, because at the end of the day, that's where it probably all would have gone wrong. So a great job from McIntyre Jones there, but I'm wondering if he could have, you know, maybe prevented it a little bit, but then Suarez, I suppose, would have been off in the gravel.
Absolutely. I mean, really great battle between the two. As I say, normally when you're into turn one there, if you dive deeper than the car alongside you, then normally you're going to get the place, especially if you're on the inside. And that's what McIntyre Jones must have been thinking by braking so late. But in the end, Suarez just outdid him in that game, and it was fantastic to see. You very rarely see such a good, nice battle through turn one in that way. But by the way, I think Lado, Williams and Jimenez have all come off somewhere. Oh dear! Oh, and speaking of, that's Varani, is it, in the wall? I'm not sure, but and it's not Varani. He's going side by side with Flint into Druid, but there was someone in the wall at turn one there.
Yeah, I think Lucas Marek did it.
Yeah,
but
Lado's in pit lane as well.
Yeah, Lado, Jimenez, they've all been off together here.
Yeah.
Oh,
dear.
As soon as we see it.
Does it? With the final call. So Jimenez is. Oh dear!
Bye-bye, Lado.
Yeah, so that was Lado, unfortunately. But Jimenez there, not a lot he could have done, although there was a bit he could have done about the rolling back business in towards Lado. So that was a shame to see.
Well, Lado survived. Did he come off?
Well, he had to come in, though. He had to come into pit lane.
What's with Williams?
Yeah, so it was Williams avoiding on the left-hand side, who broke on the grass because of the line. Lado got smacked as a result, so all three of them dropped down the order. And then I've no idea what happened in the background. I just saw two cars flying into the wall from the battle we were seeing with the likes of McIntyre Jones and so on. So Lucas Marek, oh dearie me.
And Victor Barris.
Yeah, another bit of wheel-to-wheel contact in an F3.
Yeah, Lucas Marek and Victor Barris also enjoyed it as well. So it's all getting a bit crazy. Oh, then Andy Flynn as well. Are we seeing the tyre deck kick in? Is that what we're looking at? Because Lee Aberdeen hasn't got gaps now. Zwemstra's right behind him.
Williams is off again, by the way, or was, but that's a bit further down. But yeah, maybe we're seeing a bit of the tyre degradation coming into this one. Maybe Zwemstra's looked after his tyres a little bit better on this occasion than Lee Aberdeen. Not sure. We'll see how this battle pans out. But in terms of that spin there for Flint, we can put that down entirely to the grass, in my opinion, and not the tyres. Just seemed to go a little bit too wide down there at turn 3. End up with some wheels on the grass, and that was enough as he got on the power again to end up in a spin.
Andy Flynn, of course, we just watched that. Jack Williams and Clark Williams have been off track as well. Aberdeen's managing to hold it. Zwemstra there took a little bit of gravel with him. Further back, we've got Flynn and Adam Townsma. Scudiero Racing Forces team together. Team orders, maybe? What do we reckon?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, Flint it has seemed to be quicker so far this race, so it wouldn't even be team orders. It would just be smart for Townsma to maybe let him through. Although they're so far in front of and behind of everyone else, won't really matter, I wouldn't suspect.
Oh, Aberdeen's gap is down to, well, nothing. Literally nothing.
Teammates, though, these two, by the looks of things.
Yeah, they are.
So
They're both from the Architect team, but could it possibly matter, do we think? You know, Webster's obviously clearly showing pace. You're going to tell me that he's going to sit behind Lee Aberdeen for the next 8 laps. He's not going to make a move once. He caught him up.
Well, I don't know whether he is going to or not, to be honest. He's 7th in the total point standings, by the way, so Webster's up there as well. And he will have he'll only drop 30 points from his score, which is significantly less than some of the others. He'll be on 118 coming into today, which is a pretty good score, not that far behind Aberdeen. So maybe for himself he'll want to overtake it, but let's not forget, like, there's 1 point in this. 42 points for second place, 43 for first, and so it's not worth risking both of the cars for the team in the name of 1 point, I wouldn't say.
Oh, don't say that. I just want to see him go for it. You know what I mean? We don't want to have a Verstappen Perez moment where it's just stationary or anything, do we? We want him to have some. You know?
Yeah. I mean, of course I want to see that as well. I'm just being realistic on what I predict is going to happen out of this battle. We've seen how difficult it is to overtake anyway. I mean, he might attempt it, but he's going to have to put his car and Aberdeen's car as well in such a high risk situation that he might not want to do that, given they're on the same team.
Yeah. I know, but we can only but hope here up in the booth as well. Good evening, Toxic Munchkin. I did see you there as well. But Lee Aberdeen currently out in front, Kevin Webster in second, and then there's gaps materialising throughout the field. Unfortunately, we've lost quite a few drivers beyond 27th place. So I think currently Stuart Milne is the last runner, and he's currently in 33rd. So Stuart Milne there in 33rd place. Lee Aberdeen, Kevin Webster coming there here as well. At Brands, of course, the iconic circuit that we all love, but are we going to see it? Are we going to see the battle between Kevin Webster and Lee Aberdeen? We go on to the Hungaro Ring next week, guys, so stay tuned for that one. And then it's Donington Park. I'm looking how that one's going to work out with this absolutely epic field that we get every single week. Tony Jimenez has just cleared Reed Dennis, not without much of a fight, going around the final corner. So Tony Jimenez back into 18th, of course, but it is still Lee Aberdeen and Kevin Webster tucked up in front as well. Hungaro Ring next week, Ewan. That's going to be an interesting one with all of these.
It's going to be a similar race to this, I would imagine, with the relative difficulty you have of overtaking, although it will be a little bit easier than we see in Formula 1 around there to overtake. So that should be good in terms of that. And we'll see what happens, but we always get entertaining races in this series, but partly because of the fields that we get. And as you say, it's still more than 30 cars running, although this track has taken a bite out of quite a few of these drivers so far.
Yeah, it definitely has. In the current team standings, mind you, NetLife Racing Forces of Newhoff and Lado are winning on 300. This is off the website, of course. Digital Apex, McIntyre and Marek in second. Alcantech NHR, Aberdeen and Webster is on the screen in third. And then DriveEck Esports of Tellez and Barris in fourth on 262. So, yeah, there is all to play for these guys. Don't get me wrong. And obviously, we're having Newhoff behind them. That's helping the teams. But from our point of view and from everybody else's point of view, it would be good to see them racing here as well, as they are currently the closest battle on track with 5 to go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a quite a funny statistic as well next to the points on the website, by the way, that shows you just what percentage each person has contributed, which is quite cruel in some ways to show. Best or most equal inside the top 10 is Andy Flint and Adam Talsma, who've been contributing 52% equally between the two of them. One with 52%, one with 48%. Where have I seen that before? Anyway, it's quite cruel, really, to show who's been contributing more than the other. It's just inviting, like, teammates to start having digs at each other, because I know I would if I was contributing more than my teammate. And I saw that statistic.
Yeah, that would just start giving you a different, something else to have a discussion about, wouldn't it, really? And as you say, not an ideal discussion to have.
No, not particularly. And yeah, just another ground for an argument, really. But there we are. Neuhoff is definitely closing here. Did a 15.3 2 laps ago, 15.4 last lap. That was pretty significantly quicker than these two out front.
Yeah, you see it there. Swempster was nearly 7/10 back from Neuhoff. Neuhoff's gap's now down to 1.2 and dropping. Neuhoff fastest lap of the race on lap 32 there, of course, 1:15.309. Again, 2.5 tenths quicker again.
Another quarter of a second. But I just fear that, there's only 5 minutes remaining of this race now. He really needs to catch up very quickly and then have time for an overtake as well, which is difficult to manage.
If he's pulling out, though, 2.5 tenths every single time, it'll be in draft zone next time. Pull the draft up to the back. There's an opportunity, isn't there? Never say never.
For the win. But I don't think for the win, but for second place, I think he might just have time for this. You've got to remember that, the slipstream will start to come into effect after that point, but it's at Brands Hatch where you aren't actually in the slipstream for very long. The front straight isn't even straight, so the draft is quite hard to get around there for a distance. The only real one you've got is down towards Hawthorne Bend, which you can definitely use, but even so, it's around a circuit like this, it's quite difficult to get a distant draft and catch up like it would have been last week at Manicourt, for example.
But now, one of the things we have got coming up in front of the two leaders is your back markers.
True.
So...
yeah, but it depends. This could very much, benefit Neuhoff, as you say, but it could also halt him as well, as you can see right there. That's the problem. It's almost a 50-50 chance.
Well, he lost a little bit of time, not as much as he gained over the last few laps there as well, to Kevin Swemstra. So we'll keep an eye on Neuhoff and his closing gaps over the leaders. It's 1.6 now, but we have just seen him had a little bit of a, slight little issue with a back marker that unfortunately didn't allow him through, or he just caught it in the wrong place, I want to say. I think that was the way we're at, isn't it?
I don't want to criticise these drivers, to be honest, because it's not nice. But that was poor back marking, really, to be on the inside of turn one like that, in front of the race leaders, in front of everyone on the podium. It was it should have been a little bit more aware of quite what was going on there, but never mind. It's happened now, and might have stopped Neuhoff from getting close to the two in front, because he's lost this lap really in terms of gaining time.
He definitely has, but let's see how he gets on. He secretly went about closing the gap, of course, and we did it very much under the radar, but we are on 37. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get anywhere near, to be honest. Chuck Morrow, however, might get near Nick Carty. Oh, not anymore.
No, not anymore. That's right in front of the leaders as well, by the way. They'll all go through as a result of that, and they'll all get away with another one there. So they'll be thankful of that. But these battles will continue on for the remainder of this one. Lee Aberdeen, once again, they're getting good look through the traffic here are the leaders. Aberdeen even being afforded a bit of slipstream towards Hawthorne here. And then that lap car will get out of the way, and it will slot itself between the two and Neuhoff as well. So it couldn't have gone much better for the leading two there. Just on a positive note, though, for Kenzie Neuhoff, he will, of course, extend his total points lead. He will have scored the most points out of anybody by even more of a margin on this occasion. It will double his margin, actually, from 3 points to 6 points over Will McIntyre-Jones.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about this is the leaders obviously got caught up, because the gap come down to 1.3. As I say, final lap of the race, I don't think there's much hope here unless something rather dramatic happens. Currently, but never say never, because we've seen a lot of it go wrong for people. Now down to 8 tenths. No, surely not. Is he?
Well, it's at a distance. I mean, unfortunately, the best overtaking opportunity is down towards turn 2, which he's just gone through. But if the tyres are really bad out front here, then you never know.
Keep an eye on Kenzie Newhoff. Going to be coming over. There he is. There goes the leaders now. 7 tenths. Unless there's some dramatic action coming, I think it's going to be an Aberdeen, Zwemstra, Newhoff top 3. But we are closing up into Dingledale. This will give us an idea of speed and pace and commitment, yeah. But then again, he doesn't really have a choice, does he?
No, he absolutely doesn't. But unfortunately, he is just going to run out of laps.
Yeah. For Kenzie Newhoff there, it is going to be Lee Aberdeen. Bar provisionally, of course, as we found out, taking the victory there, Kevin Zwemstra and Kenzie Newhoff in 3rd place. Now, I wonder what's going to happen here with Tony Jimenez and Marek Otlovs. They are currently coming around Graham Hill, so they've got another lap, well, half a lap, I should say, to go here. But Jimenez has closed right up to the back of Otlovs, of course. Jimenez having his own issues this evening. It's gone on and not anymore.
Yeah, that was just out of turn 4 there, and through the run towards Hawthorne there. He's unfortunately just gone off the road. Well, had a half spin even, and that will be the end of that battle. But yeah, fantastic to see once again the close margins. 1.2 seconds separating the podium drivers at the end of nearly 50 minutes of racing here this afternoon. Or this evening, more accurately, yeah, another decent race. It's just difficult to overtake at Brands Hatch, but plenty of drama throughout the field. Although not that much between the top 2. As I said earlier on, I think Kenzie Newhoff will just be ruining the fact that he couldn't qualify any better than 7th place.
Yeah, he looked like he definitely had the pace, didn't he? And as you saw, we get the gaps closed up right at the end there, and he did everything right. Bar just quality, he just didn't quite wrap up qualifying enough to move himself, into a great position. But, onwards and upwards, never say never. And hopefully we might see Kenzie Newhoff do a stellar job next week, of course, there as well. So here are your results of this race. Lee Aberdeen is the winner. Kevin Zwemstra in 2nd. Kenzie Newhoff in 3rd. Pedro Suarez 4th. Luca Varani 5th. Will McIntyre-Jones 6th. Victor Barra 7th. Andy Flynn 8th. Adam Talisman 9th. Mark Louvet 10th. Dalton Zamota in 11th. Edward Amos 12th. Alex Lado 13th. Malsis Putnieks 14th. Vyacheslav Podopenko down in 15th. Marek Otlov 16th, Tony Jimenez 17th, Koji Ito 18th, Jacques Willems 19th, Nick Carty in 20th. And then we get into the lap cars from 21st onwards. Top Morrow, Reed Dennis, Noziet Herrera, Lucas Marek and Rudy Avitzland there as well. And then, of course, Ryan Berry, Valero, Turmacans, Neem Scarlett, Mayorga, Aurora, Gravland, Williams, Milne. Still. And then further down from Milne, we've got Scatini, Rolands, Ridders, Cacafero, McCare, and Bartolotta, Brewer, Cherry, and Kelstrip, of course, had that incident together. So that claim put everybody bar 20th place, a lap down there, Ewan. That's an incredible stat to have.
Yeah, it shows the pace of the front of the race, first of all, that Lee Aberdeen, Kevin Zwemstra and Kenzie Newhoff were all able to put in over everybody else. It's a partial hats off to them. But also, it shows you how short Brands Hatch is, only just over 75 seconds a lap around here. And that was really, really apparent in that race because of the amount of people at one lap down, as you mentioned. And just a testament to the difficulty of this circuit as well. I believe that only 31 of the 47 starters will actually be classified by the end of this one. Many drivers finding themselves many laps down.
Yeah, no worries. JWS there in YouTube chat. Alcon win. Alex Johnson, Alcon win as well. It was Lee Aberdeen in 1st. Kevin Zwemstra in 2nd for the Alcon Tech. NHR by Nyman Racing team as well. Phil, see you all tomorrow night for the JPB Clios. Yes, mate. And that brings us to the end of the broadcast. Okay, Ewan, can we sum it up in one sentence here at Brands Hatch, do we think?
Probably not, to be honest, given now my... Well, if you give me a long sentence, maybe.
Go for it.
But yeah, it was a typical Brands Hatch race, I would say, with lots of battles going on throughout, partly because of the league and how it is, but a difficult one mainly in terms of overtaking. We certainly saw that during the race, but Kenzie Newhoff really proving the importance of qualifying, because as we've said before, maybe had the pace to win that race, but not quite the track position.
Yeah, there as well. Unfortunately, Mackenzie moved his way back through the order and was currently up 4 places. Now we're going to give a shout to Marcius Herrera, who was the biggest gainer, of course, but unfortunately there did finish a few laps down. He was up 22 places, and then Marcius Putnik's up 17 with Marek Otlov's up 16. So there as well. And Valero up 19 in 27. Some massive gains there, but as you can say, the difficulty of the circuit done that as well. Don't forget, guys, if you are here for the first time, give everything a thumbs up, subscribe, turn on the bells. That would be absolutely amazing. Coming up at 1:45 in the morning, if you are still awake, of course, is the Radical Sim Racing Americas, and that is coming from Virginia International. And we've also got the LSRL GT3 live from Sebring. So if you're awake and you want to come and join us, then that would be absolutely incredible. But from myself and Ewan O'Leary, as always, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.